All right, welcome back, man. Here we are, episode 22. I have the teacher formerly known as Miss Spineski. Miss Ranieri is here joining us, one of my favorite people in all of the universe. So welcome, Miss Ranieri, to our podcast. And so our loyal listeners, which is maybe about 5 or 6 people, want to know, how did you get your start in education?
I always wanted to be a teacher, actually. So I came from a family of teachers. My mom's dad was an English teacher, and my grandmother worked in the library as a librarian at the school. And I loved, that's all I ever wanted to do. And in fact, when my little sister was in nursery school, I used to go and help her teachers and volunteer so that I could teach the kids. And so I just always... I didn't really like babysitting as a kid because I was way too afraid to be home alone. So, to be honest, but I always worked summer camps and I was always with kids, and that was just always the only thing that I wanted to do. I just love it. So
what is something that's greatly influenced your teaching throughout your career?
The kids, I think. Yeah. I think, we go to college and we learn a lot there, right? And then I went on, I got my master's and I learned a lot there. But where I really learned the most was in the classrooms. And when I lived in Vegas for a while, I worked in a really tough area. And I learned so much from those kids that it was unbelievable. They put things into perspective, and I had to really I take a step back and realize what their life was like. There was... one day when a girl had come in, and this was like my aha moment, she said, Miss Spineski, can I please have another homework packet? And I was like, yeah, sure, why? And she said, well, because last night the police had to come to our house, and they searched our house, and everything's just all over, and now I can't find my homework. And I was like, okay. And I was taking, she just told me, like, hey, I had Cheerios for breakfast, and then it really hit me where I was. But they taught me so much about, kids going to school for what they need. And I always share this story with my kids now. I have this one little boy, and he really just needed a place to sleep every day. His parents were, there's like gang activity there, and so he was afraid to sleep at home. And so he would come in, and I would let him sleep in my class every day. And the kids were always like, really? You'd let him do that? And I just said, yeah, because that's what he needed from me. And so they just taught me to really listen and just love kids. And if you love kids, you can get them really to do whatever they need to do if they know you love them.
Yeah, it's the most important thing.
It is, and I love kids, so it's just, they're my people.
So along those lines, one of the things that you are best known for here is just that classroom community that you create. And we've got lots of kids that have gone through your class, so that was back, Miss Ranieri was my favorite teacher. So then how do you go about building that classroom community? I always start by telling the kids I spend more time with all of them than I spend with my own kids, and that it's my job to teach them the stuff that they know they learn in school, reading, writing, math, all that stuff I said, but most of all, it's my job to help you become a better person. And so it's funny, I like growing up or learning everything about teaching, it's like you go in hard and then you loosen up, and I kind of feel like I have to do it different. So I have to go in and let them know that I love them, and then once they know I love them, then I can really be like, that's when I can really get to the kids and make the changes I need to, because I'm a real kind of black and white person. And so when I talk to the kids, right, it seems black and white, but once they know who I am, they know that it all comes from this place of love. And they even say that to each other. We know you're just doing that because you love us. And so I just really, it's like my family. Yeah. They're like, and I think for me to be able to teach and for me to just be able to work and feel comfortable, I have to feel like I am at home, and so making the classroom their home is just, it's what we do, and I love it. So what's some of the worst teaching advice you've ever received?
Okay. Here's something, and I don't know, there was this time in education where they started talking about you can't hug kids. And that is, I think, one of the worst pieces of advice I've ever gotten, because some kids come to school and that's all they need. They just need your hug. Yeah. And I think it's definitely the worst piece of advice. And this one too, it kind of goes, the social emotional stuff. I remember working at a school and working with teachers who would say, well, this isn't our job, we shouldn't do that. And that just ate away at me to my core, because I'm like, what do you mean? Kids can have all the intelligence in the world, but if you can't communicate with somebody, if you can't empathize with people and see who they are, then what are you going to do with all of that? And so I think that was the worst advice, that we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because that's probably most important, I think.
So I know you work super hard when you're at school, but when you're away from school, how do you recharge?
I love to make things. So I make a lot of stuff. I make jewelry sometimes, or I love wiki sticks, to be honest. My kids and I make a lot of stuff with wiki sticks. I have 3 kids, and so my son, Liam, he lives with me and he goes here, and then my other 2 girls are with their dad, and I get to see them every other weekend. So I hang out with them, and we do a lot of making stuff and playing games, and I have a dog who I love. He's a big old boxer bulldog. He's like 70 pounds of just love and mush. So he takes up a lot of time too.
That's funny. So what is something that you wish that you were automatically good at?
Explaining my thoughts and ideas. Yeah, it's because I can do that with kids. Yeah. I can explain anything to kids, and I can get them to understand things. But trying to get the big idea out to other people is so difficult for me. And I really wish I was better at it. Yeah. But I'm fortunate because Miss Tyler and Miss Levine, they understand that, and so they're able to help me do that. But that's definitely probably...
Yeah, and I think once people understand you, it's actually really easy to understand what you're talking about. As long as they understand you, it's pretty good.
You just got to get through that. What is she talking about?
So I can't imagine you doing anything else but being a teacher, but if you could do another profession, what would it be?
So it would be with kids. I don't think I could do anything and not be with kids. Like maybe counseling, or I've thought about doing that, or tutoring, or just helping kids. Something with kids. I don't know what I would do. Yeah. I love teaching, and I've thought about even like in education if I wanted to move up, or if I wanted to, but I don't know that I could give up having my kids that, I can see at the beginning, and then I can see the different people they become at the end. Yeah. And teaching 5th grade is really, really neat because I see them become these 6th graders, and then they're leaving, and then they come back, and it just, I don't think I could give that up, knowing that like you helped and that you changed their life or made it better or whatever you did. I can't. Yeah. That's just too invaluable.
That's the magic.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this school too. I mean, the philosophy here is so, it's just about what's best for kids. Mm-hmm. And it's a really comforting feeling to know that everybody here knows, and they appreciate, like, teachers are here for kids. Mm-hmm. And they appreciate teachers are doing what they think is best. And they allow, you guys allow us to just teach in a way where we can really meet everybody's needs. And that's invaluable too. I don't think I could ever give that up.
Yeah. So speaking of schools, if you had the opportunity to build your own school and resources and geography, whatever, was no issue at all. You could build whatever you want. What would that school look like?
It would look like it would just be a lot of different rooms. Not so much like set up as this is my room, or maybe everybody would have their own room, but it would be really open, and it would be more like a home. Mm-hmm. I would love it where I've watched things about schools where they're teaching kids how to cook and they're eating together and building a community. I would love to be able to do that. Just show all of the kids how we all can function together and help each other. Because I think that's important. I think that's what the world is kind of turning into. We talk about that within the classroom too. Like if you think about Google, right? They all work together, and this is how they treat their employees, and this is why, and that's what we really want to prepare our kids for. I'd have a school that we could keep changing just to meet their needs. Because even when I think about when I started teaching until now, the jobs that we're setting kids up for, we don't even know what they're going to be. So we just have to set them up to be thinkers and so just embracing that and making them know that they're just loved. Yeah. It makes me sad to think that any kid would not feel like they were so loved.
Exactly. Okay, you made it to the last question.
All right.
So you have the ability to control every billboard and electronic sign and school marquee in the country for one day. What message would you put out there for that one day?
I think I would put out there, you'll never know if you don't try. Because I read something this weekend by Ernest Hemingway, and it said something about you'll never know if you can trust somebody if you don't try. And so that's always been something really difficult for me. I just don't, trust people in general. But I've been fortunate to be blessed with this amazing team, and they've become not just my friends at work, but friends outside of work. Mm-hmm. And I can tell them things that I've never told anybody, but I had to take that leap of faith to even let myself be friends with people and kind of tell them things. But if I would have never opened up to them, they would never know. If I would never make a mistake, I would never be able to fix it. Yeah. And if I never, went through all the not so fun stuff in my life, I wouldn't be who I am today. Yeah. So I think that's it, because even if it's a bad thing, you can make it good. Mm-hmm. And even if it's good, you can make it better.
So some of the best life lessons you learn is when things are hard.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
There was advice that this one boy gave me, and it changed my whole life. He was a fourth grader, and his name was Johnny. And his mom actually, they ran an in-home daycare, and they had all my little kids. And one day he had alopecia, and when he was in my third grade class, he lost his eyebrow, and then in fourth grade, he lost the other eyebrow, and eventually ended up losing all of his hair. And my ex-husband used to tutor him, so I would bring him to my house after school. And we were driving one day, and he was talking about it, and I said, Johnny, does it ever make you mad, or about your alopecia? And he looked at me and was like, no, Miss Spineski, no, not at all. He said, I feel really lucky. And I was like, yeah. He said, yeah. He said, God chose me. He chose me to have alopecia so that I can help other people who have it. He said, I'm not mad. I feel really special. And I had to take a step back and look at it. My son, when he was born, he was real sick. He was in the NICU for a while, mm-hmm. and I think I was probably a little bit angry about that. But when Johnny said that, it made me think about that, and it made me realize that if Liam hadn't gone through all that, I wouldn't know what that would feel like as a parent. And so I have this different perspective as a parent, and because of I can't even remember how many years ago. He's probably a senior now, and that was when he was in
senior in high school,
grade.
Not a senior citizen.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks. But and it still stands out as one of the most important lessons that I've ever mm-hmm. learned in life, and from a fourth grader he still is an amazing kid. Yeah. But that I think just learning from mistakes, and everything that comes your way, if you just look at it as all right, this is going to make me better, or the question that people always say, how do you get through it? And I just think, or how do you do it? And I always say, you just don't have a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just get through it because you have to. Yeah. There's no point in time where my mind says, I can't do this, I'm not going to go through it. It's just, all right, let me try another way. Yeah. We when we went away this weekend, we had to walk up this 1.5 mile road in the blizzard, right? But all of us just got out of the car and we just walked, because that's what you do. You just keep going, and it's going to be
figure it out.
Yeah, and so that was I guess there's a lot of lessons I've learned in life, but just figure it out and keep going, and it's all going to be okay. It'll be good in the end.
That's a good place to finish on. It's all going to be okay.
That's right. Everything's good.
All right. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ms. Ranieri, for taking your time out today. You never know who's going to be our guest next week, or the week after that, or the week after that. You never know. So stay tuned for episode 23, and we'll see you later.